So we've seen about the uterus, ovary and all these structures, and we've seen the external genitalia. Now one more important structure associated with the female reproductive system is the mammary gland. So mammary gland, this is one of the prominent features of mammals. Okay, milk production and parental care is one of the prominent features of mammals. So let's see how the mammary gland is designed. So as you all know, the mammary gland will start growing only after the puberty. Before that, the mammary gland is not completely grown. And the milk is secreted by the modified alveoli. Okay, so what happens is the alveolar ducts are modified in the secretion of milk. Okay, so most of your alveolar ducts are joined together to form a tubules called as, they join together to form a tubules called mammary tubule. So I think I'll draw a flow chart so that will be easy for you to understand. So how are the modifications made is, first is alveoli. Okay, so alveoli is modified and that only secretes milk. So lot of alveoli are joined together to form mammary ducts. Okay, so lot of mammary ducts are joined together to form mammary tubules. And mammary tubules are joined together to form, they'll end up in a mammary ampulla. Ampulla is a kind of dilated region. So tubules will end up in mammary ampulla, and this mammary ampullas will end up in a large duct called as lactiferous duct. So this lactiferous duct is directly connected to nipple. So through nipple the milk is sucked out from the lactiferous duct. So lactiferous duct is connected to ampulla, tubules, ducts and alveoli. So this is the order in which the connections are being made, and the milk secretion happens only after the childbirth is done. Okay, so before that there won't be any ejection of the milk. There are two hormones which are primarily responsible for the milk production. The hormones are, the first hormone which is responsible for the milk production is prolactin. Prolactin is responsible for milk production and also your progesterone. So these are the two hormones responsible for milk production. But for milk ejection, production is different and ejection is different. So milk production starts once the woman is pregnant, but milk ejection will happen only after the childbirth. So for milk ejection, the hormone which is responsible is, I'll write it here clearly, milk production. The two hormones are prolactin and progesterone. So you all know progesterone is a pregnancy hormone. This will be at its peak when the woman is pregnant. So milk ejection. For milk ejection, the hormone which is responsible is oxytocin. So this hormone, as you all know, helps in contraction of uterus during childbirth. The same hormone is responsible for ejection of milk from the nipple after the childbirth. So this is all about your mammary gland and the hormones involved. So let's see about the process of oogenesis. So we've seen the female reproductive system, that is, we've seen the ovary, uterus, cervix, etc. And then we've seen about the mammary gland and the structure. So now we are going to start with the process of oogenesis. Okay. So yesterday we've seen about the process called spermatogenesis. It's very simple process. So I've told you that from one diploid cell I can maximum get 4 sperms, 4 haploid gametes. But here this process of oogenesis is not a very simple one like that of your spermatogenesis. Okay, here also a diploid cell undergoes a division The difference is it undergoes an unequal division. There in spermatogenesis, the division is equal, whereas here it undergoes an unequal division. One of the gametes retains the maximum cytoplasm, the other gamete retains a very less cytoplasm. Okay. The reason being, the cytoplasm will serve as a medium for the development of the embryo. Okay, so once the embryo is formed, this cytoplasm will nourish the developing embryo. That is why the division is unequal. Again, so this becomes, so I call it as polar body. Okay. Again, this division is and this is second polar body and this is first polar body. So this is primary oocyte and this is secondary oocyte. Okay, so we can see the diagram. This division is again unequal, this division is also unequal, and this becomes the ovum. This is nothing but your ovum. Okay, so what happens here? This is your first meiotic division. Okay, so this is your first meiotic division and this is your second meiotic division. So what happens is, if you can see here, okay, so I have given one is diploid cell, the other one is also from diploid cell. I got two haploid cells. In that, one is a polar body, and this again undergoes a division. So from one diploid cell, actually I can get only one ovum. Whereas in the case of male, from one diploid cell I can get 4 male gametes. Whereas here, from one diploid cells I can get only one ovum, because the division is unequal and the other one is becoming the polar body which will nourish the developing sperm. So that is the main difference here. Okay. So now let's see in detail about the process. So one more difference between spermatogenesis and oogenesis is, spermatogenesis is a continuous process. So I told you, for production of one sperm it takes approximately 74 days, correct? So it is continuous, there is no break. Whereas here in oogenesis, there are breaks in between. Okay. So if I can tell you clearly, when the girl's embryo, okay, it's being formed, for example, inside the mother's womb, a girl baby is formed. At that time itself, the embryo's ovary will be full of millions and millions of oogonia. Oogonia is nothing but the ovum mother cell. So oogonia will give rise to thousands, not thousands, millions of primary oocyte. So what happens is, when the baby is born, okay, so baby will be having lot of some 60,000 to 80,000 number of primary oocytes. Okay, after the birth of the baby, no primary oocyte is further formed. No. Whereas in spermatogenesis, after puberty, so much of primary spermatocytes are formed. Whereas here, after the birth of the baby itself, the production of the primary oocytes stop. No primary oocytes are further formed in the case of females. Okay, so primary oocytes. So this happens. This stops during the or it takes a break. It is not a complete stoppage. It takes a break. Cells get arrested. This is break 1. Okay, this happens during the prophase 1 stage. Okay, so when the baby is born, when a girl baby is born, its uterus is full of this primary oocytes which are all arrested in the prophase 1 stage. Okay, after that, okay, this becomes secondary oocyte. When will this become secondary oocyte? Is after the puberty. After puberty, each primary oocyte will start for one month. they'll start becoming the secondary oocyte, and each secondary oocyte are being released monthly in the form of a menstrual cycle. So before puberty, it's primary oocyte. After puberty, it's secondary oocyte. Then finally, also this is not a complete stage. Okay, so final division happens and it becomes ovum during fertilization. So during fertilization only the meiosis 2 is complete. Okay, meiosis 1 is complete during puberty, meiosis 2 is complete only after fertilization, only after the entry of sperm into the cytoplasm of the ovum, the final division is complete. Okay, so if you can see here 2n, 2n and n, this happens during the puberty. This happens after the fertilization. Likewise, here it is from puberty. This is during the birth, primary oocyte. This puberty, this is during fertilization. So we have two breaks. The female reproductive cycle has got two breaks. So uh, this stage is getting arrested here, released after puberty, and then the ovum is produced. Okay. So now what happens here is, okay, the ovum, the production of the ovum, the division is unequal, the process is not continuous, it has got a lot of breaks, and it is not progressing. Okay, there are like millions and millions of oogonia and primary oocytes, but coming to the ovum, you can hardly get one ovum per month. Okay, so it is actually the growth is not progressive, it is retrogressive. Okay, now one more thing here is the primary oocyte. Okay, after the birth of the child till the puberty. Okay, the primary oocyte grows. Okay, the primary oocyte grows and it undergoes many stages. So it develops the granulosa cells around it and it forms primary follicle. Then it forms secondary follicle. Okay, then it also forms tertiary follicle. So likewise, the follicles are being formed. So inside the tertiary follicle, I have the primary oocyte. So oocyte is the term referring the nucleus. Okay, whereas follicle is the term referring the granulosa layers. Okay, so here it is the nucleus is still the primary oocyte, but the follicles are tertiary follicle. Okay, so secondary and tertiary follicle. So tertiary follicle can be recognized by the presence of, so for example, this is my primary oocyte. So it has got N. Okay, so it forms a layer. So this is my primary follicle inside this primary oocyte. Then this is the secondary follicle, inside this is also a secondary oocyte. Tertiary follicle will have a special cavity called as antrum. So if this cavity is present, I'll call this as secondary oocyte. So if you can see here, only the layers are growing, but there is no division of nucleus inside. It is still the primary oocyte. When will this divide is during primary oocyte to secondary oocyte stage. Only then this will divide into primary. Primary is getting divided into secondary oocyte. Okay, so this is what is happening. So until then, it is still the primary oocyte inside. Okay, so if you can see the chromosomal number, as in male, it is the same. Primary oocyte is diploid in nature. Secondary oocyte is haploid in nature, and ovum is also haploid. So the reduction division is happening. First reduction is from primary to secondary. Second is from secondary to ovum. So the process of formation of ovum is complete. The entire oogenesis is complete only after fertilization. So what will a woman release during the menstrual cycle? It's not the mature ovum. It is just nothing but your secondary follicle. Okay, if it has to become ovum, it has to undergo the fertilization. So during menstrual cycle, each woman will release only the secondary oocyte but not the mature ovum. Okay, so this is all about the process of oogenesis. Okay, followed by this, we are going to see about the hormonal action of this entire hormonal activity or hormonal control over the female reproductive system. So as you all know, pituitary is considered as a master gland, right? Pituitary gland is the main gland or master gland. Pituitary in turn is controlled by hypothalamus of the brain. Correct? So hypothalamus releases a hormone to control pituitary, and that hormone with regards to your reproductive system is nothing but GnRH, that is gonadotropin releasing hormone. Then what happens is pituitary will release two set of hormones. One is FSH and the other one is LH, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone both together will act on the ovary, and they will make sure that the ovary is producing two hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so this is how the hormones are controlled. So LH is very important for the process of ovulation. Okay, and for development of follicles, FSH is important. Okay, so estrogen and progesterone are responsible for. Progesterone is a pregnancy hormone, and estrogen is required for the maintenance of a healthy ovum. Okay, so this is all about the hormonal control of your female reproductive system. So I'll repeat the process of oogenesis again. So oogenesis starts when the girl baby is being formed. Okay, it gets arrested when the baby is born. Okay, so when the baby is born, the baby's uterus is full of primary oocytes. So the primary oocytes will from the birth till the puberty, the primary oocytes will develop the layers surrounding, and it becomes primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicles, etc. Tertiary follicle is characterized by the presence of a cavity inside called antrum. Okay. Next, after puberty, what happens is primary oocytes will start undergoing a reduction division. It will undergo the first meiotic division, and that forms the secondary oocyte over here. Okay. So this secondary oocyte is formed every month from the alternate ends, and a woman will release each ovum every month. So after this, okay, so whatever the woman is releasing during menstrual cycle is nothing but the secondary oocyte. So this happens after the puberty. Then what happens is, at last, okay, secondary oocyte will undergo again a unequal division to form ovum and a second polar body. This happens only after the fertilization. Okay, as soon as the sperm enters the female cytoplasm, the secondary oocyte undergoes a division and it forms the ovum and the secondary polar body. Okay, so secondary polar body, the function of that is to provide the nourishment to the developing sperm. Why are the divisions unequal here is, when it can retain more amount of cytoplasm, it can provide nutrition for the developing ovum. So that is why the division is unequal over here. Okay, so this is all about the oogenesis and the hormonal control.